Thank you very much for having me. I guess I ought to do a little bit about the background, and someone is going to move things around because I don't understand this, which is really quite worrying actually. I'm giving you a talk about precision farming. I could have someone work the machine. That perhaps explains a lot. I'll just try and give a little bit of background, very short. I do come from a family farming business. And apparently 1785, my great-great-granddad, or whoever it was busily herding cattle down Norwich High Street. And it documented that he was slowing the British public down. Even combines today do exactly the same thing, so we haven't really developed that far. So we've been involved in agriculture a long time. What we've tried to do is develop. My dad, as an example, started in the Depression. If you can farm in a depression, you can sure farm in a recession, and I'm old enough to have farmed in a recession. So really, where we are today is perhaps the most interesting thing. We farm about 4,000 acres, 2,000 hectares, give or take. It's a family farming business, although I'm the only member of the family involved. But we're quite old-fashioned in that we're trying to understand what we do because we want to do everything that we do, because we want to gain knowledge, we want to gain understanding, and we want to improve our business. And simply speaking, we want to make it better. Before I go on though, I ought to explain what I'll call the background or the ground rules, because I have to put my comments into context. They are about Morris Mason Limited only, and that's the company I work for. They pay my wages, and I'm interested in getting my wages next month. Although it's August next month, so if they sack me, I wouldn't worry too much. I do generalise. I do generalise, so that means I'm wrong. So please don't pick me up when I say something. It comes back to this, I'm trying to find what's better. And then I have to declare an interesting class, because I know this is all balanced and there have been many of your competitors' machinery up there. My company, Morris Mason Limited, have been involved with Claas ever since J. Mann started selling your machinery. And they are good machines, but there are lots of good machines there out in the world. And talking about the corn drill, is it the right one, is it the wrong one? I don't know whether Claas in my world make the best combine or not. What I do know is that they have some of the best people working for them, and for that I thank you, because that makes so much difference. Because when the bloody thing breaks down, and it does, and it will do, having someone that understands and that can put up with the ranting and raving, and they rant and rave as well, although they keep it quite well concealed. That is really powerful, and I'm quite capable of paying for my own lunch, so I'm not even singing for lunch. And because it is 100 years, we have to wish Claas a happy birthday. And somewhere we have hidden a small present. If you like to. And I will get my assistants to bring it out. This is for Dr. Gerber. Please, happy birthday. That is a Claas tractor. I know who is paying for my lunch. And Trevor is going to come up with me. Yes, he is. Yes, Trevor.
No, Sylvia's going to help me as well, actually. My dad is Sylvia here. She's the real singer.
As it is customary, and there are 120 people in here, I would like us all to sing Happy Birthday to Claas. So just one stand up. It's either the Queen or Happy Birthday. After three, Trevor. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Claas. Happy birthday to you. Well done. for those that are writing notes, the slides are very short, so if you can't keep up, it's not my problem. I won't tell how long to write notes. Now I'm trying to remember what I'm talking about, precision farming. It all started probably about 7 years ago when, and this ties into what good people Claas have, a guy called Lawrence Rook pitched up in my office and said, what he'd really like to do is sell me one combine and take 2 back. And I don't understand that as a model, but Claas have used it for a number of years and it seems to work, so hey ho, I thought it was all the way around. And he said that he would throw in yield mapping, whatever that was, and telematics. If I took notice of those 2 things, it would all work very well. Lawrence lied. And he's not here, so please, I'd love you to pass the message back. And I told him that bit. That I'm deeply grateful, because what that did was it showed really how bad we are. And they've got a marketing department who said, no, you can't tell your farming base that they're crap, find a nice way of dealing with it. It got us going on this trip that you all call precision farming. I'm a bit muddled with the word, but I'll get onto that later. So we sort of turned this thing on, and we got much data, and there are those that allude to it and no doubt have moved on considerably from where I gave up. Not gave up, that's not fair, but it sort of kind of like bombarded us with lots of data, and those of you that use various machines along that line will understand that comment. And I guess that you got very enthused and very happy and full of joy about the next step forward. And while we were looking at all of this stuff, and the telematics was really good. We got another year's worth of data, more maps and more stuff. And eventually we thought, right, what we've got to do is have a look at this. And the first thing it taught us was the cost of getting harvest in later, which wasn't at all what they told us it was going to do. Because the year Lawrence sold us the combine, it rained and it rained and it rained and it rained. Claas then told us really how inefficiently we use their combine, which really must be quite depressing because they make very clever machines and they give them to the likes of me and they see what we do because I know they look at the combines and God, we were bad. They still didn't say you're crap, Mr. Mason, although it would have been good if they had done. But that's now, and please remember, you must remember my comments are just to remember, it's important. The other thing that it showed us was how long we lose when a combine breaks down. And I was really quite worried about that. Did lots of, and I need to make the point that when their machines break down, in my experience, they really want to get them going. So it's no criticism of a company. And then they gave us lots and lots of yield maps. And that was 6 years ago. We then went on, got very excited about all this precision stuff. Very excited. I like toys and gadgets. We started looking at biomass in crops, the RN sensor handled into view. We got steering tractors, we can steer in straight lines, which is really quite exciting. We started looking at putting seeds in the ground precisely. Sugar beet is the obvious crop that springs to mind. That was already being precisionally planted. I've got to mention we only do 3 crops. We grow sugar beet, we grow oilseed rape, and we grow winter wheat. And we're not interested in anything else. So excuse me if you grow other crops, I don't mean it rudely. So we put in seeds precisely. We put fertiliser in, and I read at the minute that that's the way forward. Maybe, I don't know. And we started to look at our fields, and we were importing data and exporting data, and we were going round and round and round in circles. But we were at least very happy, because, you know, boys and their toys. And that sort of kind of like brought us to where we are today. Oops. Oh, good. Because you see, I don't trust the technology at all, which is a bit of a point that I will try and make. And when I talk about where we are today, I'm going to lie, because I'm a farmer and I don't believe any other farmer either. So you just have to take everything I say with a pinch of salt. Although the first bit is true, we did get overwhelmed with data. And if I'm getting boring, this is a University of Agriculture. There will be a bar, so please clear off. You have to be back in 15 minutes, 10 minutes, because the next speaker won't be so quite impressed if you've gone down the bar. We are overwhelmed with data in every form. Lots of combine maps, lots of telematic data, lots of precision. It goes on and on and on. It's a bit like sleeping with Helen of Troy. Well, I haven't slept with her, I hasten to add, but she launched 1,000 ships. And I imagine it must have been, after all that, a little bit disappointing. And a little bit disappointed, I guess. There must be a female equivalent, so excuse me if I'm being sexist. I don't want to hear about it though, thank you. But what it did say was that we're not very good at our job. We are professional farmers. Those that farm here, those that work within the industry here, are professionals, well educated, hard working, in fact bloody hard working. In my mind, the industry is one of the hardest working industries that there is today. Little recognised. But God, we're bad. As an example, and I'm in a university, so no doubt I'm going to be shouted out, the genetic potential of wheat today is 24 tonnes. If you take that out with a plant breeder, they'll probably grow in the UK about 16 tonnes a hectare. The national average harvest 2012, 6.8, 7 tonnes. Oh God, we're bad. That isn't what I usually say, but they're women present, so excuse me. And so what we've done, what we're doing, and why it's there, where we are today, is we've gone back to relearn our day job. Universities, well, I got thrown out of mine, it was all very dull. I just didn't take learning very seriously. Apparently wheat twiddles round one way and barley twiddles round the other way. And still today I've got no idea which. I gave up growing barley because I couldn't make any money out of it. So we're kind of like in a mess, if I'm honest. And so it's sort of kind of like, what is precision farming? And hopefully, yeah, what is precision farming? And I'm not sure, and I'm going to get lynched by the university if no one else, if that's the right question. Why do you farm is sort of kind of like the question that I would ask the audience, and I don't expect a reply because I don't know how many farmers there are here, but if there are 120 odd of you, there will be at least 130 different answers, and they're all correct. So I'll ask, why do I farm? And the truth is, I farm because it's the day-to-day activity until I can think of something better to do. I am here in my day-to-day activity to make money. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm surprised that it's not more acknowledged both within the academic area and the political area, and I would disagree about the comment that government, be it local, national or international, knows what it's doing when it comes to food, because I think they're completely nuts. I'm here to make money, and I'm not ashamed of that. Don't like that, then you can mention it. I'm here to make money for myself. I'm here to make money for the people that I employ. As a business, we employ about 20 or so people. I want them to be happy in their work, and I want to develop a business. And also, just to show you I'm not a complete capitalist, I am also about giving something back to the community in which I live. So, then, what is precision farming to us? I go off a tangent here because I'm about making a living. And precision farming to me is about the price of my commodities. That, I'm sorry to say this in this audience, is the most important thing that affects my business. if I save 12% saving diesel, and the work's good, I don't mean it to be rude, it is good, it doesn't make a lot of difference. Up to 2007, the price of wheat in the UK used to move from when it was planted to when it was harvested. It used to move roughly £40 a tonne. After that, it moved £100 a tonne. That's precise stuff that I want to know, and I want to know how to manage it. Then I'm interested in my crop. No one, although there is a slide that's been shown earlier, talks about weather. Weather is very important, and I would put it into this category. Then I want to know about my crop detail, and I haven't got enough time to bore you about the theory of growing wheat. Only then do I want to start to measure what I'm doing, and it's only then do the boxes that precision farming talk about comes in. And finally, I want to reduce my costs. If I save 12%, that's great, but my price of my basic commodity moves 50 or 100%. And that gives me a hopefully on my final slide. Yeah. Where would I like to see my company go? I just talked about price. I can bore you to death on that one. I would like a greater understanding of my crops, and yes, precision farming does have an impact on that. To get to this, I would suggest we've got to have a much better understanding of weather. Then, and only then, measurement becomes much more interesting, but it is quite low down. And in that measurement, what I really want are warnings of when I'm going outside of the parameters I've set. As an example, and I don't understand how a combine is made or any other machine, I imagine that Claas set the parameters of a piece of metal really quite tightly. And I have this picture of lights going off, bells going off, and the whole factory stopping if it moves outside of that. It's German efficiency. But it's very, very impressive. I would really like something like that. And then the maps are good that we get in whichever form they come, but they are history. And once they tell you you've grown a good crop of wheat or a bad crop of wheat, as far as I'm concerned, it's over. And telematics, in many ways, is similar, although it's much nearer the here and now. If it could tell me when my machine was going to break down, I could do something about it. And I think in all of this data, perhaps the sellers of the machinery suffer the same problem, so I think they understand the problem that I'm talking about. But perhaps as a sort of passing thought, where I perhaps hope we might go, that they can tell us when the widget is going to break. We undoubtedly will buy a license from them to print a part on a 3D printer that we will put in. So instead of losing 4 hours every time my combine breaks down, I'm going to lose half an hour. And Claas will still make a living, or whichever company. And then finally, just to continue to improve the measurement in a way that can allow me not to rush around, but to actually think about what I'm doing. And that, gentlemen, my views on precision farming. Thank you for listening. Very kind of you.